Hi guys. So during yesterday's live, Saturday's live, because I don't know when I'm going to post this video, we learned from Bonnie Lynn's blog. If you can look her up on Instagram, she made these beautiful alcohol backgrounds and she stamped over them with some Stampscape stamps. So we kind of mimic that in making these two cards. But I was looking at some of her other cards on her blog, and they are just stunning. Again, it's Bonnie Lynn's blog. And I was like, oh, I got to make some more. But I was thinking, wouldn't they be beautiful with some of these Blue Night Rubber Stamps Silhouette stamps? So we have all of these Silhouette stamps from Blue Night Rubber Stamps. But before we can get to that, we need to make some backgrounds. So today, I brought out my trusty little mat, nonstick mat. I have my gloves on. That is not blood. That is all the ink from yesterday. And I have a couple pieces of Yupo left in this pack, so we're gonna use some of these up. And I like the size of the panels we did. I think these were 3.5. So I'm going to grab my trimmer quick. I have so many projects going on right now. I feel I don't feel overwhelmed yet because I feel like, you know, this is really fun. I'm sure it'll get to the point where I feel overwhelmed, but by then, hopefully, we'll all be back at work and it won't matter anymore. So, these are 5 by 7 sheets. So, I'm going to cut them in half to 3.5. I think it makes it a little more manageable for us. We can get 2 scenes, and with these stamps, let me see if I can get, yeah, I'll get the majority of the focal image on those. Maybe some will do a little bigger. This one will work fine. Yeah, that one will be fine. So maybe just the elephant one won't fit. So maybe we'll do a couple bigger ones of that. But I'll cut a couple of these down. We'll play with some colors here. And also she used die cuts, like solid black die cuts on hers. So keep that in mind too. This one I'm going to cut to 4. Well, this is not quite 5. So this is exactly 5 inches, so it's not a full card panel size. We'll cut this one to 4. Let me see if I want to make sure my elephants fit. Yeah, they're not going to fit that. We'll have to wing it with the elephants. Let me go back to 3.5. All right, so let's start with those 6 panels. See what we get. And I'm going to use a variety of alcohol inks. I have my alcohol ink stored in this little Holtz tin. And I also have, off to the side here, some 91% isopropyl alcohol. I have some paper towels. I have other, I want to make a spot behind me. Hold on. Have another spot behind me with another what do you call that, mat? Okay, so I have another mat behind me, the Holtz Ranger mat, non-stick mat, so I can make the panels here, move them over there to that mat to dry off, which doesn't take very long. All right, so grab my little puffer tool here. What other tools? I do have a brush in case I need it. I have some spray alcohol. I have some blending solution. I think those are all of things we're going to need right now. I have some other ink companies we can play with too. I have some Pinata inks here. Some beautiful blues and purples. Gray, black, bronze. Ooh, I think those will be pretty. Orange. So we will mix and match what we have going on here. All right. let us begin. So the way I was doing it yesterday, just to show everyone, is took some of these Pinata inks. I feel like I'm missing a couple for some reason. Oh, maybe not. We're going to do these Pinata inks for this first demonstration. I'm going to leave metallics out because they just don't react exactly the same. So we're going to leave those out. But these are the Pinata alcohol inks. And what I was doing yesterday was sprinkling them on my mat. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm actually going to start with the Pinata ink yellow, Sun Bright Yellow. I'll try to remember to tell you guys the names of the colors here. And hopefully camera picks all this up. So I'm going to put that on the top line there. Then I'm going to go in with some orange. Ooh, that needs to be cleaned up. And whoop, this is Senorita Magenta. Okay, and then actually I want to leave the lids off in case I need to get some more ink out. I don't know what happened to the orange there. Have to clean that one up. All right, so we'll leave those out. And then I want to make sure my alcohol is ready. I'll have that ready. And my blending solution is ready. Now, alcohol moves the ink and also lightens it. Blending solution will move the ink but will not lighten it. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to put a little swipe of blending solution in between each color here, just to give it some movement. Okay, hopefully that's all coming up on the film. I'm going to move you guys there. Okay, and then we just kind of like smush method. Stick it down, smush it. Give it a second for those inks to kind of transfer and move around. As you can see, they're squirting out from under. That's why we want to wear the gloves. All right. Now, this was the hard part, is sometimes it sticks. So I use my little old spatula here and get under there and kind of lift. Ooh, that is really pretty. Now, if you want to move some of this around, you know, just depending on what you have. Now, I really like that, but I do want to get some more on this side here, so I'm going to try to dip it in on this side here. Oh, that is really pretty. That's way better than yesterday's experiments. And then as you move it around, now I need a little pink in this area right here. So I'm just going to carefully dab this spot into the pink. Or try to carefully dab it into the pink. There we go. We're getting there. Why is that spot not covering? There we go. All right. So I actually like this. I'm not going to mess with this one. I think that's gorgeous. We're going to figure out what to use it with. There's a little speckle of dry alcohol ink. Now it's going to dry on your mat. It's fine. I like this color combination, so I'm going to try to reuse this ink by remoistening it. And by doing that, we're just going to add some of that blending solution. Now, as you can see, the blending solution is starting to move everything around. We want to be pretty quick. Get our new piece of Yupo in there. And that was one thing I learned yesterday and just forgot, is when you lift from the darkest color to the lightest, it will start to drag that way. Which is fine if you like that. If you don't like that, you kind of want to lift in the opposite direction. So from lightest to darkest is what I would recommend. That is still very pretty. Gonna leave that one alone as well. These are coming out way better than yesterday's experiments. All right, I want to clean this one up and move on to some other colors. So I'm just going to use some isopropyl alcohol. I don't like to use my blending solution to clean up because alcohol is obviously much cheaper and easier to get your hands hold of. We want to save the blending solution for when we are actually blending and use the alcohol for cleanup. And just use a paper towel. And this nonstick mat will stain, but it's pretty easy to clean up for the most part. And you want to be quick about it because the alcohol inks dry really quickly. And you got a globby mess like I have on this one. Just put some alcohol on a paper towel. Kind of wipe that off. I have no idea what happened there. Clearly I did not put the lid on correctly at some point and then closed it up. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, I think I want to try some blues and purples now. We have a couple of different colors of those. So for blues and purples, we are going to use a combination of different colors again. All right, I'm going to mix up some of this Baja Blue. Now, I don't know if this is a darker, let me see here. We have this ultramarine blue from BKRS, which looks a little darker. Okay, so I'm going to do Baja Blue on the top. Same thing, as kind of put a stripe there. BKRS in the middle. That might be a little lighter. And then the Jacquard Passion Purple. Okay. Now, for this one, get a little bit of alcohol or blending solution in the middle there. So we have something to swipe with. I'm going to go sideways. So I'm going to kind of drag this along as I push down and kind of go back and forth with it like this. Now when I lift this time, I want to lift from the lightest up to the dark. So that way if the color starts to dribble, it dribbles down. I hope that makes sense. So if I lift from this end and go that way, it will move that way. We want the ink to move downwards. So we're going to lift this way. Oops. Oh, that's so gorgeous. Now I have a lot of ink here. I want to push that ink down this way. That purple is really dark. I am going to put a little bit of blending solution up here to try to kind of move it. There we go. We might need a little more, but that is stunning. I think I'm going to dip back into the purple here and see if I can get a little bit more ink on the bottom. All right. Still a little darker than I wanted, but that is still pretty. And I think the next layer we get will be a little lighter. Let's do that. Because we're going to have more blending. We'll put some more blending solution in here. All right. Oh, that's gorgeous. All right, I'm going to put that aside to dry. Wow, these are coming out a lot better than yesterday. I'm just going to put some blending solution down. Okay, and we're going to go horizontal, right? No, vertical instead of horizontal. Again, just going to kind of smush into that blending solution. It's reactivating the inks. Going to lift from the top. Get my little spatula under there. Oh, come on, buddy. Wow, okay, so that's the surprise. This blue is really pretty. We're just going to kind of dribble some of this on here. There we go. Now see how quickly it dries. So this is where the blending solution comes in. Just kind of reactivates that color, moves it around. You don't really lose too much of your color, where with alcohol inks, you do lose some of that color. I mean, alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. You lose some of that color. All right, I think it's a little too dark down at the bottom here. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the blending solution and just try to kind of move that. I'm going to take my blower, give it some drips, some movement there. Where I have these high concentrations of dark colors, that's really what I'm trying to break up and move around. Oops, a little too much there, but that's okay. All right, that one's really pretty. I still think we can get another lighter print out of this. I still think it's kind of dark. I'm going to put a little bit more of this lighter blue. This is, again, Baja Blue in there. I'm going to resaturate my colors again with some blending solution. Okay, they're starting to run together now. Whoops. Here we go. Dip, 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 smush, smush, smush. Okay, again, lifting from the lightest side. Oops. Oh, that's pretty. That's what we're looking for right there. That is what we want. I'm gonna dry that off quickly. Still a little dark here. We'll try to run that off the page. Then that looks like the sky and some ground. All right, I'm gonna leave that one alone. I love it. All right, so for the next one, I want to keep this dark blue purple thing going down at the bottom here. I want to kind of clean up this blue up at the top. So I'm going to real quick wipe that off. I'm going to see if I can get like a sunset. Kind of like we did yesterday, where it's like red, orange, yellow at the top. If we can match that. And I didn't even use any of my other colors yet. These are very simple colors. So if you only have a handful of colors, I mean, you really only need 3 colors. So I'm going to keep that blue down there because there's a lot of it left. And I'm going to attempt to do this magenta, orange. Oh, I should have did orange magenta. That's okay. And then I'm debating if the yellow is going to work or not. I'm going to put the yellow close to the orange. I don't want it to mix too much with the blue and turn green. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start from the top with my smush, 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 and then drag it towards the bottom. Smush, 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 side to side. Okay, and now I'm going to go into the blue. And again, when we lift, we want to lift from... Oh, this is going to be tough because if we lift from the bottom, it'll go upwards, and if I lift from the top, it'll go downwards. So I'm going to be real kind of careful here. Oh, wow, it's a rainbow mess, but it's cool looking. I'm going to let this drag downwards. So as the red is running downwards, I'm okay with that. What I need is some more of my blue and purple at the bottom. So I'm trying to dry my red orange off. You can see the yellow kind of did turn into green. Okay, I'm going to more blending solution on the bottom here, and I'm going to dip that blue or this into the blue and kind of get that reactivated. Yeah, we want that. Oh yeah, that's pretty. So blowing on it moves the ink, changes the textures a little bit, smooths the colors a little bit. All right, so I think I'm going to leave this one alone. All right, let me move this to the side. Let's clean this up. So we have 6 backgrounds we can stamp on. So the next part is basically cleaning all of this up. And then to do the stamping. I didn't even use any of my Tim Holtz Ranger alcohol inks. That's fine. I'll link for you guys down below this Pinata collection. I think I got like all 6 inks, 6 or 7 inks. I forget how many, but I got them all in one set. And I think they came with a white and a gold, but it's like magenta, orange, yellow, a green, turquoise, purple, black, white, and I think gold. But again, I'll link it for you guys. Okay, so now we're just going to clean up and we'll get to stamping. Oh, that pretty color. Oh, I can't let it go to waste. I gotta do it. Gotta do it, guys. Trying to dry this quickly because I don't want to lose these colors. Oh, that is gorgeous. All right, now I don't feel so bad. We're not wasting that. Okay, now I can clean this up as it starts to drip down my desk. Yuck, 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 yuck. And that's why I put gloves on. Because this can be quite satisfying, but also quite messy. Okay, so now the fun part. Let me do one more wipe here. Okay, take my gloves off. And I just reuse the same gloves. I just let them dry off and then leave them in my little art basket. As long as they don't have any holes in them. You can get a bag of, or box of these gloves from Harbor Freight. So that's like a tool store. It's a cheapy tool store. They sell them for mechanics to work on cars. Okay, so now we need Misty. Mini Misty is kind of in the way there, so I'm just going to use the big Misty. And since these are rubber stamps, we're going to remove our foam mat. Okay. And want to use archival ink. All right. Okay, so let's just pick out some of these that should already be dry. If they're a little tacky, you want to wait to use them, but this one's pretty dry. Let's figure out which stamp is going to work well with this. Here we go. So this one is called Grace and Peace by Blue Knight Rubber Stamps. It has the trees and the giraffe. The sentiment is separate. Now I have some sticky grid on my mat. Ready? So I'm going to put this down right here. So it's on the sticky grid. It's not going to go anywhere. And try to line this up. So this is I want almost all of my giraffe in there. I don't care if the tree gets cut off. There we go. Close the door. Ink it up. And this will take a couple of inkings. You want to make sure your stamp pad is nice and juicy so you get that nice dark image, because you want your silhouette image to just stand out. All right. So I'm going to give that a second. I'm going to put my magnets up here. Now because we're stamping on Yupo paper, remember Yupo paper is a plastic. It's a man-made paper. And so it's not going to give you the smoothest impression the first time. You might want to dry this in between. And it takes a second to dry because this ink does not soak into the paper. So you kind of have to wait for it to dry, and it will smudge very easily, so you have to be careful with that. It made these beautiful backgrounds. Now, if you do mess up a background, you don't like it, you don't like the way the stamped image is, you can just take your alcohol ink and spray the whole thing down and wipe it all off. It will come right off. In fact, the 2 cards that I just showed you guys, this one, that's what happened here. I didn't like how the colors were running together, and I ended up cleaning them all off. I had a stamped image off of there and starting over again. And that one came out really pretty. This is the one that I didn't change anything on. You can see obviously the colors are nice and vibrant, but very easy to work with the Yupo paper. Okay, we are getting there. Almost. I'm just going to try to dry again this. You don't want to put direct heat on there. It will cause your Yupo paper to curl up. Again, it's plastic. We just want enough to try to dry that top layer so that our ink sticks better. Always keep your heat gun moving. Keep it at a high enough level. You do not want to warp your paper. Okay, I'm going to clean my stamp off. I just use some Hero Arts cleaner and microfiber towel. These microfiber towels are great because you can just throw them in the wash when you're done. Yeah, they get stained, but it's better than getting little threads from baby wipes and things like that. Okay. All right, we're going to go back in and ink it again. I'm actually going to put a little refill in here. See my ink pad soaking that right up, so it must have needed it. Okay, try it again. A little bit better. Okay, getting there, almost there. It does take a couple of inkings because, again, as you lift the stamp, you're lifting the ink with it. So you have to just kind of be patient with it in order for it to transfer. But believe me, the payoff, oh, my paper moved. Doesn't look too bad. The payoff when these are done is just, they're just gorgeous. Amazing. My paper moved on my giraffe. Let's get there. He's almost there. Alright, I'm going to leave this one to dry, so I'm going to slowly peel that up. Looks okay. I'm going to move that off to the side. Let's try one of the other stamps. Let me clean this one off. this off. Okay. And again, that one was called Grace and Peace. And you can pick these up at Blue Night Rubber Stamps. I'll link them for you. This is one of the newer ones as well. This is called Walk by Faith, and it has these little elephants. Also comes with a set of birds. You can use the birds all over the place. All right, I'm going to stamp on this blue one now. This is still wet on the back side, so I'm just going to dry it off real quick. Okay, still might have some of that color transferred over, but that's okay. Okay, get that to stick to the sticky grid. Put our magnets on. Hopefully keep everything in place. All right, now we're going to line up our elephants. Okay, close the door. All right, here we go again. You could even take a little alcohol marker, alcohol pen. I might do that on this one. I think I have the Tim Holtz blending solution pen. There we go, this one. And kind of maybe do a moon. Maybe we'll do that on this one. Let's get it all stamped out first. Okay, now this ink was really dark, so some of that alcohol ink is starting to kind of overpower our image, so we're really going to need to make sure we put a lot of ink down and stamp down on that. But I think we can get it to work. One thing I've done on previous ones, I don't know if I'll be able to do it on this one, I can try, is I've done some heat embossing. You have to be very careful to do that, again, because you're trying to heat emboss your embossing powder on that Yupo paper. So you just got to be careful of that. I'm going to just heat this up and get that ink to stick. And I like to clean my stamp in between because I don't want any of that old ink interfering with the pattern on how it's stamping, if that makes sense. So I like to start with drying it a little bit and doing a new, fresh inking on the stamp. This one actually looks pretty good. Getting there. Okay, so I'm going to give that a second to dry. Now, like I said, this set came with some little birds, so we can actually just do one little quick stamp of the little birds. And then if you wanted to do the little moon, I don't know, I think my blending solution is dried out here. Hold on. Yeah, I might have to fill this a little bit real quick. Let's pull that out. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of blending solution and fill this up. Okay, I didn't want to put too much in there because last time I filled this, I put way too much. That's why I put the lid on it, because it started leaking all over my table. All right, so we're gonna let this kind of rehydrate. Okay, and we can go back to stamping another layer here. This one's coming out really pretty. Until I hold it up and you guys can see it. These archival inks, Stays On inks. These inks are a little harder to use because they do, they're a little bit different the way that they dry. They're not like a water-based ink. So they do dry the best on Yupo, but they take a minute to dry. So they, again, just because of the nature of Yupo paper, it's a plastic. So whenever you're doing anything on plastic, it's not absorbing it. You just have to wait for it to dry. It takes a little bit of patience. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think one more inking and we should be okay. And I want to make sure this is always in the corner so I don't have those double images stamped out. I'm going to dry it and do one more. Every area is covered. I'm just trying to get it more even looking. Keep going. Now, I'm a little particular. I like mine to be perfectly smooth. That's not always going to happen. It takes a lot of practice. Now, you could use regular inks. I'll do the next one with Versamark ink so you guys can see The problem is that ink doesn't set, so if you're going to do that, you'll need to spray it with a setting spray, a fixative, or you're going to need to heat emboss it. So I'll show that as the next example. I know this video is a little long. If you don't want to keep watching, you can tap the right side of the screen 2 times, 2 quick little taps, and that will fast forward 10 seconds. And if you miss anything, if you do 2 taps to the left, it will rewind 10 seconds for you. So if you want to fast forward me doing all of these stampings, you can get to the end. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. I'm going to leave this one alone. Set that off to the side to dry. All right, I have another blue one. Again, the back is a little wet. Okay, so this one, we're going to do the same image, but what we're going to do is we're going to use different ink. I'm like, do I want to do it that way? Do I want it this way? Do I want to use it for the giraffe? Hold on. I want to go with the giraffes. We'll use this one. Okay, so for this one, clean my stamp off. We're going to use Versamark ink, and I'll show you. We'll have some of the same problems where the ink kind of lifts when we stamp it, but the nice thing about Versamark ink is that you can heat emboss it. So let me get my heat embossing out so we can prepare that. Going to use this Night Blue Brutus Monroe shifting powders. I do want to make sure that this is all dry because otherwise the embossing powders are going to stick to all the areas of the alcohol inks. So we want to do the tool on here. Okay, I'm going to use my VersaFine Clair, my little handle. Trying to make sure everything's out of the way because we'll need to move pretty quickly here. Now, VersaFine Clair ink has a little bit of a different property. It's not exactly a dye ink. It's more of a pigment ink, but it's a pigment ink that dries pretty quickly, but still allows you to do heat embossing. So you're going to need to set this ink either through heat embossing or doing, like I said, a spray fixative. Okay, pretty good. Not completely solid, but looked good. Doesn't that background look like Northern Lights and like they have like this mountain range behind them? I cannot believe how cool that looks. Make sure our paper's in the corner there. Still have a couple of missed areas. I'm going to try to stamp it again. that looks pretty good. I'm going to move on to heat embossing real quick. So we're going to slide this over. Now, the cool thing about heat embossing is if you miss any areas, you can always go back with your Versamark marker and fill that in. This is actually pretty good. I really don't have much to complain about there. Wow. This is really going to look cool. So this embossing powder is from Brutus Monroe, and it's called Night Shift, and it has this dark navy look to it, but it's very pearlescent. Now, when I heat this up, I'm going to keep my heat gun very high up in the air. We don't want it directly on our Yupo paper again because it will burn. We want to continue to move it back and forth. So normally I have it down here. I'm going to keep it up here, and it'll take a little while to change, but once it does, it'll be quick. There it goes. Yep, curling up. Oh, gotta move quicker. All right, we're gonna give that a second, and then what we can actually do once it cools down is we can run it through our die cutting machine with the full sandwich, and it'll flatten it back down. Look at how gorgeous that looks. Oh, that's my favorite. Definitely my favorite. Oh, we got to do that again. We're going to go back to using this one, and we're going to go back to using the Giraffe stamps. That took way less effort and looks way better. Okay, let's go back to the giraffe. And again, the elephants were called Walk by Faith. The giraffes are called Grace and Peace. One giraffe, not giraffes. One giraffe. And everything's tucked into the corner. Put this in the corner. Giraffe is on, whoops, a little bigger. Giraffe is on the right side. All right. Let's do that again. All right, so let's not forget our anti-static tool. Makes a big difference when we're doing heat embossing. And you can wipe that powdery residue off when you are done. Ink it up with our VersaFine Clair ink. And Blue Night Rubber Stamps has quite a few silhouette images. I love them. There is a wolf. There is a buck, a deer. There's a giraffe. There's the elephant. There is one which is like a sailboat scene. There's a panther in a tree. So they have quite a few silhouette images. They're very easy to use. If you can make these backgrounds, you can make brush show backgrounds. You can make watercolor backgrounds. Spray backgrounds, whatever you want to do, and then all you do is just stamp this image over it. Now again, we have a little difficulty here using the Yupo paper because it's plastic, but if you use regular paper, they just come out so gorgeous, so beautiful. Okay, that's not bad. This one, I'm going to use the other Night Shift. This is called Night Shift Mulberry, and it has like a maroon tint to it. Just because it'll play better with the background, I think. Okay. A little bit more on the giraffe and the grass, and then I think we're ready to heat emboss. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Okay. Again, we're going to let the heat gun heat up a minute and then carefully put that on there. little bit there. All right. All right, so just want to show you guys again a couple card panels we made. So these two, we're doing just the archival ink, which again, it's going to take a little bit for them to dry. They're still sticky. They're still going to smudge, but I still think that they look very pretty. Okay. And then these two, we did the heat embossing, and yeah, they're a little curled up, but they will flatten back out once you run them through your die cutting machine, or I like to put them on foam backings, because the foam will keep them flat then. But very, very pretty either way you do it. Now, if you want to take the alcohol blending pen, let's see here. I think I want to draw like, to me, this looks like a mountain range. And you can lift that ink out of there. Let me grab a little paper towel here. Doesn't that look pretty? That is cool. Look at that. Doesn't that look pretty? Oh, I love it. Okay, so thank you again to Bonnie Lynn's blog. Again, I found her on Instagram. Check her out. She has some way more beautiful scenes on her page. But thank you guys for hanging out with me while I tried this out. If you have any questions or comments, post them down below. If you would like to show us what you've made, you can join our new Facebook group. It is called Stamping and Foiling Fun, or Foiling and Stamping Fun. Again, it's on Facebook. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Just click the little bubble that's going to come up in the bottom right corner there. Thanks for watching, guys, and keep on stamping.